Welcome, Faye.
Thank
Faye
you.
Leshner, you are a stylist.
That is correct.
And I know that you work with people well beyond classical music, but you've begun working with classical musicians.
Yes, I have. I feel like the industry needs it. It's something that not a lot of people give a lot of attention to, and it's just as important and actually, an expanding industry, and should be approaching it the same way that other areas of music do.
Okay, well, let's start at the very sort of basic level. How do you define style?
So, style is your outward state of how you would like to present yourself to the world. So it is the decisions that you make to guard yourself when you leave the house, if that makes sense.
So how do clothes fit into that?
So clothing is everything you wear has a connotation. It has an association. And the things that you choose to wear in the day are how you are choosing to be interpreted by other people, whether you know it or not. That is when you get up and you're going into an office and you're putting on a suit, you would like to be seen with more authority and taken more seriously. And these are just things that are ingrained in our society, but they do affect our decisions and affect our style choices.
Okay, so if I was sort of a devil's advocate or the person that didn't know much about style, and I thought, the person that wears badly fitting jeans and a t-shirt, they don't care about style, you actually might counter and say they do care about style.
So, but that is the style, is maybe the not caring part is they're trying to give off no, I'm cool, I'm casual, I'm not taking life too seriously. And that is what they're saying with their clothes.
So why is style important for musicians?
I think being a musician, you are in the public eye, you are an entertainer. And I think it's important for you to hone in on your style because it's a way of identifying you. It's a way of branding yourself. So I think, anyone who walks on a stage and wants to be heard and noticed should be thinking intentionally about how they walk on the stage and what they are walking on the stage in.
Can you talk about when style is well defined, a strong sense of style, what does that do for a musician?
Okay, great example. Let's look at pop music. Harry Styles. Harry Styles has become a style icon based on the way that he dresses. And that works well because at that point, he doesn't really have to be that good at what he does, but people are paying attention and people are interested. The benefit about classical musicians, especially the ones that you work with, is that they do have the ability, they have the talent. So could you imagine if you were able to create an identity for yourself that is both music and both image? It would be extremely powerful and effective.
What does it also do for the confidence or the presence, the way somebody holds themselves on stage?
I mean, if you think about any time that you're wearing your favorite outfit or something that you feel good, it changes your entire disposition. Of course you have more confidence because you know that you feel confident that the way that the world sees you is the way you want to be seen. So if you think about that in terms of how you're performing, it seems like a no-brainer that you would want to find what that is for you.
I can tell you that from somebody who sits back and listens to a lot of young musicians, and we go through auditions every year, when somebody walks out on stage and they have, I would say, really sharp looking outfit, and they have that confidence, my thinking on them is already tweaked in a positive direction before they play a note.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that answers your first question is when it works well, what does it do? Is that you already have a better impression of that person because that person put thought into what they're doing, and that means that they take what they're doing seriously.
We also get people walk out on stage with an untucked shirt and clothes that are wrinkled, and you wonder even if those clothes were clean when they were put on.
Right. I mean, and that is, it could be for a number of reasons. It could be for a lack of confidence, or maybe they don't even think that's important. Maybe they think their music is the most important thing, but we are visual creatures and we don't know each other. Before we know each other, we don't know each other. So it's very important to, grandma's advice, put your best foot forward. That kind of thinking actually does help you.
Well, if I could offer a little compassion to young musicians, imagine a poor music student that sort of comes into their undergraduate, and then at some point somebody says to them, you need to go out and get a suit, or you need a performance dress, and they've never bought a suit in their life, And then fast forward a couple of years, and now they're taking auditions. Now they're going out and meeting people like the jury at Young Concert Artists, or maybe a year or two further along, and they're going to hire a professional photographer for the first time. So I do have a lot of compassion for the idea that young music students or young musicians really may have zero background in the subject of style or how do you find good-looking clothes. So what's the beginning of this process for a young musician?
That's a really good point. But even if you if it's not your wheelhouse, if you don't really consider it, you still at least have a basis of something that you like. Even if it's sporty and casual, like that exists. So what I would say is that like even just bringing up the topic, I want to get better at this. I know that in the future I'm going to have to do these things. Educate yourself. Start visually training yourself. Pay more attention to what people are wearing in the street, what's in the stores, what works well, what do you like, what looks good to you. And then it's like, for instance, if I were to tell you, did you notice that everyone is wearing combat boots? You probably never noticed that people were wearing combat boots, but after that you can't unsee it. So it's like when you put something in your head, your brain will start associating and start getting better at it. So it's really it's like training. It's like you train to be really good at your craft. You can also train to be like hone more into your style.
The advice about becoming a student of what other people are doing, when you walk around the street, seeing who looks good in their clothes, who perhaps doesn't, I think it's so true for many, many things. Look to the models that you think are doing a really great job. Who are the soloists that walk out on stage, have a distinct sense of style that fits their personality and is instantly memorable. It seems that how clothes fit is a really important part of this whole question.
Yeah, actually that is fit and proportion, and understanding that is so important, and actually is what sets you apart from looking good or not looking good. Even if you're doing something that is like an oversized proportion on your scale, there is a way to do that. And I come from a fashion design background, so I was a fashion designer, so having the understanding of how to build clothing, that's why I can recognize it. But if you're not, once again, if this is like not something that you're familiar with, go to the experts. I would say like start familiarizing yourself with, the way clothes should fit. So go into stores even if you can't afford those pieces and get fit in clothing and actually have a professional pick out the size that is meant for you. So at least you have a point of reference, because when you feel it, you'll see the difference instantly. And there's some very common mistakes, especially like, I like to use the example of menswear suiting. A lot of men choose suits that are too big for them. And you can tell because the shoulder seam is all the way down here and it should fit.
Just checking. Okay.
No, you're good. But it should align with your arm socket, where it goes into your arm. But you would never know that. If you never put on a jacket that actually fits you, you'd be, just throwing on any old thing. But I think having that frame of reference and educating yourself is just the only way, that you just get better at it.
And it sounds like from what you just said that you can go into a department store and get expert help even if you may not be ready to buy at that store? Absolutely.
There's no obligation to buy. I mean, they will try to make you buy things. That's their job. But use that as your library. That's a great way to just become like a student of style, is like, go try things on. Go look at images online, find some things that you're interested in trying, and go try them on and see how they fit. And then there's a ton of other places that you can get them for much less. Especially we're in discount community now. This is how the world works. So even if you waited a couple of weeks, probably what you were looking at will be on sale.
So let me go back to something you said a minute ago about fit and proportion. What advice do you have for musicians that maybe don't yet feel comfortable in their own body, or don't know how to look good on stage when their body doesn't match the things that they see in the media and advertising?
There's always a good fit for every single shape. It's about finding what that is, and that's where I say to educate yourself, especially now, even if you're more on the curvy side, if you're shorter, the lens of body shapes have expanded so much. So it's actually a really good time to find references for that. I think in that sense, it is actually very helpful to have someone to work with a stylist to bring awareness to the shapes that should be fitting you where it should be fitting you. But you can also go into a store and get that advice, because you don't need to be 6 foot and a size 2 to look good in things, because otherwise half the clothes wouldn't be sold. You know, most people are, you know, of an average size. So I think it's just like, it would have to be like, I could describe it for like specific body types, but like in short, there's like always a way, there's a fit and proportion for everyone. It's not, I think what the advice I would give is, don't look to the smaller shapes and think it has to look like that on me. You have to see what would it look like, the version for yourself, if that makes sense.
Well, it's great to hear that. As again somebody who sits through an awful lot of auditions, and I don't think a lot about style. What I often think about is, was there some thought that went into it? And is the person showing up on stage authentic, both in what they're playing, how they carry themselves on stage, but there also is a sense, it's an intuitive sense when somebody is just really comfortable in their own skin. And that could be any body type.
Style does not necessarily mean that you are super fashion forward. Like, style can also be extremely simple. It could be elegant, be minimal. I mean, there's a ton of different interpretations. When I speak to style, I mean like the best representation of you, of your state. Whereas trend is there to sell you things. Trend is there to identify that you are reading these certain blogs and you follow these certain celebrities. But like, style is something that is completely your own and everyone has. So if you think of it like that, like it loosens up the intimidation a bit. Like, you don't have to have money or be able to afford Chanel. Like, it is really just having the awareness, like, this is what's right for me and I feel great in it.
Earlier you started talking about where people can go to find discount clothes. Obviously you can spend an awful lot of money on clothes, and musicians need to budget something. I mean,
Yes.
Buying a suit costs something, buying
Sure.
a dress costs something. So if somebody doesn't have a lot of resources, what are some ways that they can still accomplish good things with their style and their clothes?
So first, identify what you're looking for. It'll make it a lot easier. But I would say, like, there are so many resale sites right now, and you could just Google resale. You'll get like 40 of them, because the way our shopping behavior works now is that people are buying constantly, and they're also getting rid of stuff constantly. So you can get things that are next to new, some with tags on them, for like a fourth of the price. So that's buying designer things. So that's one option. But once again, know what you're looking for, because it can be really overwhelming, since usually when you're dealing with resale, there's only one of that piece in general.
Okay.
So there's that. There's also a bunch of like high street brands. Like ASOS is great because they have like a huge suiting division, which is like so inexpensive, and it's for photography, shoots great. It looks really expensive, and it's really good for like that person who just like needs something that looks slick and affordable.
We should get some links from you and put it in the description.
Oh, absolutely. I have a ton. There's a lot more, but then we would be here
For a long time.
yes.